Some of the key challenges in high net worth divorces are number one, business ownership, right? Depending on the type of business, the amount of income involved, the structure of the business, that can get complex because you have to figure out the income derived from that business that's going to be used in a support calculation, whether it's child support, alimony, or both. And then you also have to figure out the value of the actual asset for division. And that can involve, it usually does involve bringing in an expert to run the numbers and to come up with a value. The other part of high net worth divorces that can be tricky is we often have issues involving family trusts. And this can be especially tricky when there is money coming from these family trusts and supporting the family. And the reason that it gets tricky is because you often have the individuals running these trusts wanting to keep this money out of the marriage, and they don't want it to be an issue in divorce. And depending on how the trust is structured, it can sometimes be a significant issue in the divorce. So when you have a high net worth divorce that involves business, especially with complex business structure, when it involves trusts and extra money coming from the family, that can inject more complex issues in the divorce. So dividing complex assets in a divorce can be tricky and often involves bringing in other professionals. So for businesses, that typically involves bringing in an expert to appraise the value of the business. When it comes to car collections, art collections, that also typically involves bringing in an outside party who can objectively value those assets. Also, there are some complex issues involving trusts, and the parties often benefit from having an estate planning attorney work with the divorce attorneys to ensure that everyone's on the same page in terms of comprehending what the structure of the trust is and what that means for property division and support. When it comes to child support in high net worth, high asset cases, there are no actual caps on child support. There are formulas that are used to calculate child support, and the judge does have discretion to deviate from those formulas, but there really is no concrete cap on child support. When it comes to spousal support in high net worth, high asset cases, there are caps on spousal support in terms of how the judge analyzes the particular case and the number the judge can come up with. There is no theoretical cap on the amount of support that can be paid out. But for example, in alimony, there are statutory limits as to the percentage of difference between the parties' gross incomes that can be paid out as spousal support. Also, the judge is theoretically limited to issuing orders of alimony based on the recipient's need. So the judge should not go above for an alimony payment what the recipient actually needs to maintain a lifestyle comparable to that enjoyed during the marriage. If you have any question about high net worth, high asset divorces, support, property division in these types of divorces, contact Farias Family Law. We'll schedule a comprehensive assessment where we can sit down, figure out your goals, and help you figure out the best next steps.